to the new channel. Well, it's not the new channel, it's me doing something different with the channel. So I am the conservative poet, also known as Amanya. I want y'all to take a look. It's kind of an interesting one. It's more parody, and I do have a quirky sense of humor. I have a comic sense, and that's what I'm going to be bringing to this. And so I look forward to all the great work that we're going to do on this channel, and we're going to talk lots of truths. And, you know, it's a good thing I have gumption and I've got iron balls, if you'd like to call them that. I have gumption and I'm not afraid. I will still continue to make the spoken word videos because those are really, really important, because in those videos, I'm really able to bring the vision to life on what it is that I'm really seeing. And so I will continue to bring that word. Enjoy. Please like, subscribe, share. Awesome.
Defenses of India and the issue of Ukraine?
Look, we've been very clear on where we stand with Ukraine, and we just announced a $3 billion additional security assistance to make sure that the people are continuing to fight for their freedom.
So we just sent $3 billion over to Ukraine to make sure that their people are taken care of, to make sure that they have enough manpower to fight the invasion of their borders, the Russians who's coming to take over their country. We've aided them with an additional $3 billion. So I'm going to do a reverse now and say, okay, why aren't you protecting our borders? Why aren't you protecting our people? Who's giving us money to protect our borders? We have a crisis. We have a crisis. We are being invaded.
More than 100,000 people were encountered at the border last month. 24,000 more than last February.
Nobody's addressing that. Back to myself, back to Madame. Let's put her back on.
We have been, it's not just us, you see that with our allies and partners. You see a very unified NATO, and they are unified because of the leadership of this president.
How about coming together to support Americans? How about uniting the parties? You know, maybe compromising a little with our own people for America, for a better America. But no, it's not on the agenda.
And so we've been very clear on where we stand. It is important to make sure that when a country is fighting for their freedom, fighting for their democracy, for their sovereignty, that we support that. Okay.
She says some very, very important things. It is critical for us to support a country who is fighting for their freedom, fighting for their sovereignty. Not what we're doing in this country. We here on the right, we are fighting for the foundation of this country. We are fighting to preserve what this country stands for. We are fighting for our freedoms. We are fighting for our amendments. We are fighting for our Constitution. But we're fighting you. I should say your administration, Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats are the ones taking away our freedoms, taking away our sovereignty by not doing anything about the border just being wide open. We stand with Ukraine to fight for their sovereignty, to fight for their freedom, to fight for their democracy. But we spit on America's freedom, on America's democracy, and America's sovereignty.
Thanks, Karine. About the student loans, how can the country afford such a massive handout?
Well, Ambassador Rice said that she's happy to have that discussion. I'm happy to have this discussion as well. Look,
She's happy to have the discussion, but I doubt she's really going to have that discussion. We're going to tiptoe around this thing. We're going to play a little chess. We're going to play a little tango around these questions. And you can ask all day if you'd like. I'm not going to answer your questions, but I'm going to just give you a little something, something. I'm going to give you a little something. Here we go.
look at what this president has done. If you look at the end of this coming end of the fiscal year, $1.7 trillion that we have deduced, brought down the deficit. That matters. That matters.
I'm not sure, but I think I just said we brought down the deficit. I did say that, even though I know that we're increasing our debt. I know we're increasing debt, but the American people are not going to understand all of that talk. All they're going to know is that we've put money out there into the people's pockets, and so therefore that's going to help things to go down. So we're bringing things down, even though that's not actually what's happening, right? You understand. Okay.
Look at the Inflation Reduction Act. Is going to add another $300 billion, going to bring down the deficit again.
We're going to add another 3 billion. No, she said 300 billion. And that's going to bring down the deficit again. Yeah, it's going to bring down debt. I don't know how, but that's what we're going to tell them. We're just going to tell them it's going to bring down debt. Don't know how, but hey, they're not going to understand. Let's just go with it. And hopefully this one will be quiet soon so I can move on with my other people, because he's already taken up way too much of my time.
And you might spend $300 to $900 billion extra, so you can do that and not.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. What we are trying to do here, we are doing this responsibly.
We are doing this responsibly. We are adding and printing and borrowing from our future children, from our future selves. We're borrowing right now to lower the deficit, right? That's it. We're lowering the deficit.
You heard directly from the president. This is something that is going to be important for middle-class Americans. When you think about 90% of the folks who are going to actually benefit from this are making $75,000 or less, and you think about what Republicans did just a couple of years ago, they signed off on a $2 trillion tax cut for the wealthy and did not provide any way to pay for that. And that, again, here's what we have done.
Who's paying for this? Who do you think is paying for it? You're paying for it. The middle class is paying for it. The American people are paying for it. Who do you think is paying for it? Keep asking me these dumb questions.
Here's
About how much it might cost, it might not cost. Who is paying for this?
what we are saying is the work that this administration has.
We've done work. Don't matter who's paying for it. We've done the work for the American people. Yeah, they're going to pay for it, but they don't have to know that now.
Done. The work that the Democrats in Congress has done is actually there, and you see that the $1.7 trillion deficit.
See, I have to go back. I have to continue to go back to that 1.7 trillion. I have to go back, or billion, whatever. I just have to keep going back to those numbers. That way the American people know that the Democrats, that know that we have been working diligently on their behalf because we care about the middle class.
deficit reduction that you see is going to benefit us.
It's going to benefit the American people. Don't you see that, Jake Doocy? Don't you see that? Why are you bothering me with these questions? Don't you see it's going to be good for the American people? I wish you shut up.
And being able to do something for the middle class,
I understand.
to do something for the middle class.
But when you
This
forgive-
is about doing something for people who make less than $125,000, $1.7 trillion. That's what we've been able to do.
But when you forgive debt, you're not just disappearing debt. So
But-
who is paying for
but-
this?
And then
Listen, is this guy slow or what? You're paying for it. The American people are paying for it. That's who's paying for it. Can we move on? I'm moving on. I'm getting ready to move on.
I'll give you the second part. We lifted the pause, right? We're going to lift the pause at the end of this year, which is going to matter, right? Which is going to offset a lot of what we're doing as well. When you think about the $4 billion that's going to go back into as revenue back into this process of folks.
So is it $4 billion this is costing? So they're expecting, if I'm understanding her correctly, this whole thing is going to cost about $4 billion. And they're expecting the American people to put it back into the economy. Is that the plan? Is that what's going to reduce the deficit? Is that what's going to reduce inflation?
Paying right their college tuition, that matters as well. So we are doing this in a smart way. We're doing this in a way that's going to be effective. We're doing this in a way that keeps the president's promise.
Well, as you all know, the president, Joe Biden, does not really keep his promises. So I don't know where this is headed. But that's where we are today.
On giving people who need some breathing room, I just laid out. I just
told you. Didn't you just hear me? We're doing a lot of work. We put in 1.7 trillion. We're putting another 4 billion. Why do you keep hounding me about this? Didn't you just hear me? The American people are going to pay for it.
just laid out for you. No, Peter, I just laid out for you how we're seeing this process and why this matters. Again, I just laid out.
Somebody's got to pay. He just keeps harping on somebody's got to pay. He keeps harping on it. How many times do I have to say?
Because of the work that we have done in the economy, because of the American Rescue Plan, because of the Inflation Reduction Act, and because all of this work that this president has done has brought down our deficit by $1.7 trillion.
I think I've repeated that several times already. But yet, I haven't answered the question. The question he poses is, who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it?
Again, we are happy to continue to have this conversation, but I'm going to move around. Go ahead.
I'm going to move on. I'll never tell. I'm moving on.